Okay, Tzadik Tesam Aleph, 7 lines down on the wide lines. Amar Reb Chiya bar Abba, Amar Reb Yechanan, Reb Chiya bar Abba said the name of Reb Yechanan. Amar Reb Chiya bar Abba, Amar Reb Yechanan. Kol hanviim lo nisnavu el bal tshuva. When the Nevi'im said good things that are going to come to the Yidden, they were talking about people who are balei tshuva. Aval tzadikim gemurim, but a tzadik gomer is a much higher darga. And on that, ayin le'rasa lekim zolasecha. Only Hashem saw what tzadik gemurim was. The Nevi'im didn't even talk about that, and you can't imagine how much schar that they would get. So the Gemara pligat Rabbi Avo. Rabbi Yechanan is arguing on Rabbi Avo. Amar Rabbi Avo, makom shabal tshuva imdin sham. Places where Bali Tshuva stand, tzadikim einan sham. Tzadikim can't stand there. Shenemar shalom shalom rachel kol hakarev. Hashem says peace, peace to the far and to the near. Reisha rachik. First Hashem says to the far, v'hadar karev, and then Hashem says to the close. So my rachak to meikara. Rachak means somebody who was originally far and did tshuva, and Hashem puts him first. My karev to meikara dashta. Karev means somebody who was close before and close now, never left and never came back. So that's a tzaddik, and then it says the rachak first. You see from Zakta Ravo, you see that the tshuva comes first. For Zakta Mur, no. For Rabbi Yechanan, how does he argue? Learn Pshat and Pasuk. Rabbi Yechanan says, "L'rachik shu rachik me'avera." Rachik is taka tzaddik; he's far from avera. Karev shu karev me'avera, v'nishrachik mena. A karev is somebody who was karev from avera and did and was misrachik from it, and since he was there's a different gersa over here that makes it a little clearer. Rabbi Yechanan Amar Rachik she rachik me'avera. Rachik is like we had as far from avera. Karev she karev la'avera v'nisrachik. He was close to avera and he was misrachik. So that's the Baal Tshuva, and it says him second.
He was close to avera.
He was close, and he was misrachik from it. Misrachik manner. Reb Chiya bar Abba, Reb Yechanan. Reb Chiya bar Abba is the name of Reb Yechanan. Kol hanviim kulam lo nisnabu el meisi bitul tam tchacham lo yisapar gmatil tam tchacham. The Nevi'im, when they're speaking about the people who get schar for what they're doing, they're talking about this person who goes out of his way to marry his daughter off to a Talmid Chacham, to do business with a Talmid Chacham, to be give a Talmid Chacham hana from his nechasim. That's when they're saying good things about Yid. But the Talmid Chacham himself, on that, ayin la'rasa l'kim zolasecha. That means that nobody saw the potential schar that's coming to Talmid Chacham himself. So what does it mean that I didn't see it? What did the eye not see? It's saying something that was never visible.
All the field made the partner in business.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. It's a good business strategy. Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says, what does this mean? Ayin le'rasa. Zeh yayin hamashumar ba'anav m'sheshes me'brachos. This is wine that's guarded, that's protected in its grapes from the 6 days of brachos. If it's in its grapes, nobody ever saw it. That's what it means. Ayin le'rasa. It's invisible to the naked eye.
What's the grapes?
What was that?
What's the remes to grapes?
Grapes. I can't tell you specifically over here, but grapes always are chashivas. What?
But I never.
Right. So ayin le'rasa means that it's something that was not possible to be visible because it was never out in the open. So the wine is in the grapes; it didn't come out of the grapes. It's guarded, it's protected in the grapes. That's ayin le'rasa.
What calls that? What's
That the Rebbeinu Shem is saving wine for thousands of years to feed to the Talmid Chacham. That's probably good wine. Okay, but probably it's more in the ruchniya sense. But we'll see. Be'ez Hashem, we'll have Sechazena Einenu. We'll see. Reish Lakish says Ze Eden. This is Eden that L'ras Ayin Me'olam. Nobody saw Eden ever. Frak the Gemara. Adam Hechandar. Where did Adam live? Began. He lived in the Gan, and that's why he didn't see it. In other words, you thought that Adam lived in Eden. No, he lived in the Gan. Ivem Timer Gan Hu Eden. Maybe Gan is the Eden. We always say Gan Eden. Tamleimer, the pasuk tells us, "And Nahar Yitzmi Eden." And Nahar went out of Eden. Lashkas as a Gan. So you see that Gan is outside Eden. So in the Gan, that in Eden, that Eden is Ayin L'Rasa L'Kim Zolasecha. Okay.
What's the Gemara that the Rochel could walk people that are gone? And then what?
Oh, you're talking about the Paradise.
Paradise.
Paradise is different than
Yeah, I know. I wasn't supposed to. Paradise,
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
Paradise, then what's the Paradise over there?
Paradise is Paradise Pashtus means heavenly realms in their mind or in the other spheres, other beginnes of knowledge. What? No, that we call that Paradise an acronym for Pshat Remez just inside. But the Paradise that the Gemara is talking about, there's an aruch I think over there that talks about it. It's the idea is that they would be able to put themselves in a state of mind or in a state of place where they were that was outside the confines of this world. Maybe even it was in their mind only, but that was enough. And Abba Nichlas to Paradise, and not all of them escaped unscathed. Right? Yatsi Nichlas Shalom Yatsi Shalom. It's those letters.
They is number one. Very big thing.
I hear.
The first is
Okay, I hear. Okay. So now we go weiter in the Mishnah, the Gemara on the Mishnah. The Gemara said, these are the people who don't have Olam Haba. And then the Gemara says, Ve'ein Torah min hashamayim and v'apikaris. Okay, that's the next two things in the Mishnah. Zak the Gemara. Ve'ein Torah min hashamayim v'chulu. Torah Rabban and Rabban learned. Kidvar Hashem baza. The word of Hashem, he embarrassed, he shamed. Umitzvasav, I think it's V'es mitzvasai hefar, and his mitzvah, Hashem's commandments, he annulled. He kares to kares, he should get cut off in double lashon. What is this pasuk talking about? This is a pasuk in Bamidbar, in the Sefer Bamidbar, where Mar says, Zeha imrein Torah min hashamayim. This is somebody who says that the Torah is not from Shemayim. If someone says Torah is not from Shemayim, is taka, he kares to kares, he gets cut off. That's the ein lechel kol maba. Davar achar, Kidvar Hashem baza, is apikaris. Kidvar Hashem baza is an apikaris. And we're going to say soon what an apikaris is. Davar achar, Kidvar Hashem baza, what is Kidvar Hashem baza? Is a magal panam Torah, somebody who reveals faces in the Torah. It means he says wrong shem in the Torah, and the Gemara is going to explain later what this is.
It says wrong.
Literally, Megal Panam means reveals faces, right? But what it means in not literal translation, what it actually means is he opens up directions in the Torah, interpretations of the Torah that are not correct. And the Gemara is going to give some examples of that later on. Ve'es mitzvasai hefar zeha mefer. It's darshaning the lashon of hefar zeha mefer bris. This is somebody who is mefer bris. He does not. He pushes back on the bris of Avram. Mefer bris usually is talking about somebody who surgically reverses the bris milah. Mefer bris basar. Ikaris tikaris. What does it mean ikaris tikaris? It means ikaris by l'maset, ikaris l'olam haba. A person will get cut off in this world, he'll die, and he won't have olam haba. Vikana Rabbi Elazar Amadai. From here, Rabbi Elazar Amadai said, based on this pasuk, so this is going on the pasuk, Kidvar Hashem baza v'esmitzvasa v'hefar, and so on. So he says all these things fall into the category of the pasuk that says Kidvar Hashem baza. That what is that? He says, Vikana Rabbi Elazar from Amadai. Rabbi Elazar said, someone who makes kachim chulen, in other words, he makes them tamei, and he embarrasses the maidis. That means he does not treat chalamayid properly. He reverses the bris of Avram. And he's somebody who's shot in the Torah, not like halacha. And somebody who embarrasses the face of his friend in the rabbim, in the public. Even though he has in his hand Torah and Masim Tevim, he doesn't have a chel kolon ba. Because all these things are part of Kidvar Hashem baza. When a person embarrasses a Talmid Chacham, then that's also, or it's embarrassing the word of Hashem, where Hashem said how to treat people and how to treat people properly and so on. Tanya Idach, we learned in another brayso. Kidvar Hashem baza. What does it mean Kidvar Hashem baza? This is somebody who says this Torah is not from Shemayim. Vafilu Amar, and even if he said no, really most of the Torah is from Shemayim. Kol Torah kula min Shemayim. Everything, the whole Torah is from Shemayim. Chutz mi pasuk zeh. This pasuk Shneimar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem didn't say this. Moshe added on a little bit by himself. He wanted to get his own editorial license in there. Someone who says that is the person who says that's Dvar Hashem Baza. Zeu Kidvar Hashem Baza. Afilu Amar.
Let's look at the Torah.
Right. So over there you have a Kabbalah like that. I don't think we're talking about those psukim that we're talking about. That's an exception. But you take a pasuk, I don't know, a random pasuk in Parshas Vayishlach, say no, this can't be pshat. Moshe stuck this in. That's Dvar Hashem Baza. Even if somebody says the whole Torah is from Shemayim, somebody who says except for this diuk in the pasuk based on the chaseris and yiseris, whether something is a mali or a chaser in the Torah will make a ribo or a miyat, or he based on one gzer shava, his Rebbe taught him gzer shava, and he says no, I don't hold this gzer shava, or for this kal v'chaymer, if he doesn't do any of this, it's considered Kidvar Hashem Baza. Now, because we're talking about Gzer Shava, and Gzer Shava you have to have from a Rebbe to Talmud, we're going to talk a little about somebody not teaching the Torah to his Talmidim. Tanya Meir said, somebody who teaches Torah, who learns Torah and does not teach it, Zehu Dvar Hashem Baza. This is Dvar Hashem Baza. A person who has the Torah, the best way to be mechaber is to teach it to other people, and he refuses to teach to other people, and obviously somebody who is capable of doing that is Dvar Hashem Baza. I'll tell you a story. You know, my Rosh Hashiva, Reb Shmuel Mendel at Seichet Tzadik Levracha, used to teach. He was a Rebbe. His Reb Shagafel Mendel's son, and him and his brother-in-law Reb Shia Schiff opened a yeshiva in Monsey, Beis Shraga. And they taught. And Reb Shmuel Mendel, I was at the Shiva, and his son told me, I asked him, did your father ever give share? Because when I was there, he didn't give share. Did your father ever give share? He told me he used to, but he couldn't. He couldn't because dealing with the kids, he's a very straight person, perfectionist person. You deal with kids, you can't be a perfectionist. He wasn't able to do it, he had to stop. I had a seder with him, and a few of us had a vad with him, so we learned from him. But some people he can't, and he had plenty of Torah, but he wasn't able to teach it in that way. But somebody who can and doesn't, then he has to. That's a taina. Dvar Hashem Baza. Yeah. Rav Nassan Aimer Kol Mi She'einu Mashkiach Al Mishnah. What does it mean Dvar Hashem Baza? Somebody who doesn't consider the Mishnah chashav. He says, the Mishnah is no big deal. I'm going to focus on the psukim, right? So he doesn't focus on the Mishnah and give it the proper chashivas. That's Dvar Hashem Baza. Dvar Hashem Baza is somebody who's possible to learn Torah and he doesn't. Rabbi Shmuel Aimer Zal even if it's gechavim. Dvar Hashem Baza is somebody who goes and serves Avodah Zarah. Doesn't get worse than that. How does he learn this? That Dvar Hashem Baza is talking about Avodah Zarah, because it does seem like a little bit of a stretch to go from Dvar Hashem to Avodah Zarah. The Tanjay Rishmal, we learned in the Shiva Rishmal, Dvar Hashem Baza is a mavaza dibur. He's being mavaza dvar is the lashon of dibur. He's being mavaza the dibur shenemar lo Moshe Misinai that was said to Moshe Misinai. Now that's the Dvar Hashem, the dibur of Hashem, because the other Aseres Dibros, Hashem said them to Moshe, and Moshe repeated them to Klal Yisrael. But the first two about don't do a serve of Avodah Zarah, that was Dvar Hashem Baza. So somebody goes and speaks and serves of Avodah Zarah, he's being mavaza the two diburim that Hashem said by Har Sinai. Rabbi Shua ben Karchaimer, somebody who learns Torah and does not review it, it's like a person who plants and doesn't harvest. You're making the planting and you're not getting the fruits of your labor. Yeah. Rabbi Shua says, somebody who learns Torah and forgets it. So usually Meshachcha, like the Mishnah Navas, means that you try to forget it or you're trying not to remember it. It's like a lady who gives birth and she buries her baby. The baby doesn't stay alive and she has to bury the baby. Why? Because what?
word that's being developed.
Yeah. And you have over here somebody's learning Torah, and then he tries to forget it. You know what? I don't want to remember this anymore. So that's like taking a person's kid and burying them. Rabbi Kiva says, Zemer b'chol yom, zemer b'chol yom. When the learning Torah has to be like a song every day. In other words, that it should be regular in your mouth like a song. Yeah, that's a pasuk in Tehillim, right? And then there are some I think who learn from here in the Rabbi. I forget the name of the person in Eretz Yisrael who does this. Nachli Torah, the former basic Torah, is based a little on this. The name will come back to me. They have the Mahalach. They do a lot of singing with the Bachram, learning over stuff in tunes. They learn Mishnayos. They have a tune for every Mishnah, and the kids learn them by heart that way. That's Zemer b'chol yom, Zemer b'chol yom. Yeah, a lot of yeshivas do it. This yeshiva does more maybe than other yeshivas. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Rav Adimir. This Rav Adimir says, "Ma'ikra." What's the pasuk? Shenemar. The pasuk says, "Nefesh amal amlaloi, nefesh amal amlaloi, ya'akaf alav pihu." Who amal b'makom zeh, atarasei meltzlei b'makom achar. He works in one place. It's double ash. Nefesh amla amlaloi. Nefesh amal amlaloi. A person works, and the work is done for him. What does it mean? So he works. He is working in this place, and his Torah works for him in another place. His Torah stays for him to stay with him. The end of the pasuk, Yaakov of Piyu, is because he made his mouth, the things that he says with his mouth, always constantly with him, like an ukaf. An ukaf is a saddle. Donkey always has a saddle on. So that's Akaf al Piyu. He made his mouth always full of Torah. That's when Nefesh Amal Amlalai. So what does it do? What does the Torah work for him? So Rashi says that the Torah goes and asks in front of the Rebbeinu Shalom to teach the person who's learning the Torah, teach him the Tamei Torah and its the reasons for Torah and its secrets. And it's because he spends so much time and effort learning Torah. So it reminds you of what the Gemara says somewhere elsewhere. Vayim Shemaya Tishma. If you start learning, if you listen and learning, you're going to be able to listen more. Okay, Zak Mar Vaitra. Amar Rabbi Lazar says, Kol Adam La'amal Nivra. A person is created for amal. Shenemar for work. Shenemar ki Adam La'amal Yulad. Pasuk says a person is born for work. Now, any given person, I don't know, what kind of work? We would call it was white collar or blue collar, right? Work with his mouth or work with his whole body. Shoimer, when it says what?
The word pet doesn't mean Torah?
Yeah, well, we're going to say, it's no. At this point, we're saying, yes, it does, but at this point in the Shakavatari, we're talking about just like white collar, talking, not using handiwork. So yeah. So I don't know if it's Amal Peh or Amal Malacha. He was created for the work of his mouth. So that's what people are created for. But what kind of work of his mouth? I still don't know. Amal Torah, the work of Torah with your mouth, and Amal Sicha. Maybe you're a stockbroker and you have to do a lot of talking, right? That the Sefer Torah shouldn't be separated from your mouth. The Rebbeinu said, I think the Malach, I think it was, said to Yeshua, what?
Sure. When you come
at the bus, yeah. So you have a Omer La'amal Torah. So when you see, you use the same shprach of Ve'mashat Torah Zemi Picha. So you see the kind of peh that the pasuk is concerned with is the Amal Torah. And V'hainu Damarav, and that's what Rav said. Kulu du Gufi Deruftakin and who? all bodies have to do work. Everyone's going to have to do their tircha, but it's better for the person who's zaycha to have a driftiki deraisa. His work should be in the Torah. So nobody could sit around twiddling their thumbs doing nothing. But if you could be working in a Torah-dik position, that's better than working in a non-Torah-dik position. And that's the benefit. I, Baruch Hashem, have been lucky to be working in yeshivas with yeshivas for many years. It's a schus. It's not so. Not everyone's zaycha for that. And the truth is, I tried to get out of it at one point because I needed to take a little more money, and the Ron Shalom didn't make it so easy for me, and I ended up still staying in the yeshiva world. Okay, and Baruch Hashem, I got a little more money. Okay, Pasuk says, Noyif isha chasar leiv. A person who's mazana with a woman, chasar leiv is missing heart. That's what the Pasuk says. It's a big Pasuk in Mishlei. Noyif isha chasar leiv, mashkas nafsha yu yasena. What does this mean, Noyif isha chasar leiv? So, Noyif isha is somebody's mazana. He has a string of affairs. He's mazana with one woman one night, one woman another day, another woman another night. Doesn't have any satisfaction.
I would argue further. I would say the fact that Christ was mentioned.
So, Amar Ishlakish Zalemater Leprakim. This is somebody who learns Torah in pieces and times. In other words, maybe one day he'll learn 15 minutes, one day he won't learn at all, one day he'll learn an hour, next day he'll learn 10 minutes again. Shenemer ki noam ki sishman bevit nacha yukainu yachtav al svasecha. They're sweet when you keep them in your and when will you keep them in your belly? Yukainu yachtav al svasecha, when they're constantly being on your lips. It says, the pasuk says that a person who goes biyad rama from the ezrach from the ager, Hashem will megade if he's going to get charis. What does this mean? This is Menashe the son of Chizkiah Melech. Sheyoshev v'derish ba'agadah shel daifi. He would darshan hagadas of falsehood. Amar, he would say, did Moshe Rabbeinu really need to write v'achos leitim timna? Did he really have to write the timna isip v'legish lalifas? Did he really have to write v'yelach rubin v'mekis yerchitim v'yim tzedam basada? That's what Menashe would say. Menashe was a Rush, remember? Yotze Baskel v'amalei. Baskel came out and said to him, Teshev v'achicha t'daber v'veni mecha titim daifi. Elas Teshev, you're sitting and you're speaking against your brother and against the son of your brother, you're putting lashon hara. Ela sisa v'achrashti. What was that?
You skipped a few lines.
What did I skip?
When he gave me the money.
That was one something that Menashe said. That he said, I don't. Yeah, so he said the Elchum makes your chitim. So Yatsa Baskel Vamrloi, Baskel came out and said to Menashe this following pasuk in Tehillim. Teshev b'achicha t'daber. You're sitting, you're speaking against your brother. B'ven imcha, your mother's son, your brother, keeping day for you saying lashon hara. Ela sisa v'achrashti. These you did, and I was quiet. You thought that I would be like you, so I guess I would let you go. I'm going to push back. I'm going to give you techacha, and I'll give you do a judgment to your eyes. So that's what the pasuk says in Tehillim. And in other words, the pasuk is saying that Menashe is going to get punished for this being megala pun and the Torah shleik halacha. I'm sorry. First Kabbalah, and on this it said in Kabbalah in Ksuvim, woe is to those who pull Averis with Chavle Hashav. Rashi says it's weak ropes. It's like spider webs, right? They pull Averis just a little bit. They pull it onto them without any hana. In other words, they're doing Avera that really does not do any good for them. And by pulling that, they're pulling on a big heavy rope, like you pull on the harness of a wagon. I don't know if that's the right word, but I think harness is the right word. Which is a big thick rope. The person pulls that on them, by starting with the smaller Averis. My Kavas Hagala, what does it mean Kavas Hagala? Rasi explains, Yetzirah b'tchil dem l'chutshel kuvya. The Yetzirah at the beginning is like a thread of spider web. And in the end, it becomes bigger and bigger, and it's like the rope of the wagon. So Mar says, once we're already coming on to this, going back to what Menashe HaMelech used to say.
No example. It's her. First comes like a guest, then the next step.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, and there's actually a different Gemara that's interesting that says that in Yomei Mashiach Lasad Lavai, then the tzaddikim will see the Yetzirah and it'll seem like a big mountain. They'll be so happy that they're able to be zeicha from it. Yeah, and then the Rishon will see it. It seems like a tiny thread like this. So you see the Gemara is saying that it's relative to something. Okay, the Asan Alamiyas Acheslet and Timna Mayas. Once we're coming on to this, we wrote down the story with Menashe that he was complaining. He was saying, "What's Moshe Rabbeinu bringing these extra psukim in the Torah for? And it's not necessary." So Taka, what's pshat? What is Acheslet and Timna? The Gemara says Timna Bas Malachma. Timna was from the yichus of royalty. Ksiv Alef Leitan Alef Timna. Plus it says Alef Leitan Alef Timna. We know that Timna was from a royal family. Chol Aleph, and every Aleph is Malchus B'Lei Tagi. It's not a Mamish king, but it's a king without a crown. It's a king that doesn't have actual royalty, but is still powerful and great. So Timna came from this lineage, and she was of royalty. So she lived in the time of Ram Yitzchak V'Yaakov. She wanted to be Megayer. She came to Avram Yitzchak V'Yaakov. For whatever reason, they were not Makabel her as a Geras. She went and she became a Pilegesh to Elifaz ben Esav. Amra, she said, better I should be a Shifcha to this nation, to Klal Yisrael, and I shouldn't be a princessly woman to a different nation. So Amalek came out from her, who ended up being Mitzar from Klal Yisrael. My time, why? Why did Klal Yisrael deserve that Amalek should come out from her? Because they shouldn't have been Merachik Timna, they should have been Megayer her. V'yelech Reuven makes Zirchitim. What's that pasuk? What's the point of that pasuk? Amarav Rav Yitzchak, Rav son Rav Yitzchak says, Amarav Rav, and the name of Rav becomes Tzadikim Shein Pashtim Deim Begezel. You see from here that tzaddikim do not stick their hands in and take things that from other people's fields. But it's not yours. Because he went and made sure to take from the Sada, which was Hefker, and not from anything that belonged to a specific person. Rashi says that it was in the fields after the Shas Ktsira. After the harvest, nobody cares. You can take whatever you want from their field till it's time for the new crop to grow, and that's why he went to the Sada. That's why it says Ve'elch make Zirchita, that he went to the yeah. What's the dam? Amrav Yavruchi, Levi Amar Sigli, Rabbi Yonasan Amar Sviski. In different places are actually explained some of the lazan over here. I think it's violets or jasmine, some of these names. But otherwise we have a machlekes what exactly the dam is. Rabbi Alexandri, the Gemara says right there. Alexandri says, somebody who's Eisik Terah Lishma, if it's Shalom, in the Pamali Shalmala is the Malachim, and Pamali Shalmata is Klal Yisrael. Shnever, like the pasuk says, Shalom Yasali. Somebody who's Mechazik Mamuzi, who holds on to my Ma'is, my strength, is the Torah, he's going to make Shalom for me, and Shalom he's going to make for me. Kabbalashin. So someone who's Eisem Torah is make Shalom in Shemayim and Shalom in the world.
What's the Shalom that he's going to make? What's the Shalom Shemayim he's going to make?
I guess it's good for the world when Torah is being learned.
So,
Yeah, that's for sure. Rav says someone who's learned Torah Lishma, Kilubana Palchin Shamal Shalmat. It's like he built a palace in Shemaim and in Aretz, Lamala and Lamata. Heading you know, I'll put my word in your mouth. It means to learn Torah. And I will cover you in the shade of, protect you in the shade of my hand. Then Toya Shemaim It's to plant in heaven and to establish on earth. So you see, there's going to be building going on in Shemaim and building going on in Aretz. Rabbi Yechna says, a person who learns Torah Lishma is protecting on the whole world. Shneimar the pasuk says, a person who learns Torah in my hand will cover, will shadow him. He'll be shadowed in my hand and protected. Somebody who learns Torah Lishma is going to bring the Kula closer. Shneimar, like the pasuk says, the pasuk is at the end of the pasuk we said before. The pasuk says, we quoted that whole part, and then the last words of the pasuk are to say to Yerushalayim, you're my nation. So we're going to go back to Yerushalayim because of people learning Torah Lishma. Amar Shlach says, a person who teaches his friend's son Torah, not his own son, his friend's son, a person, the Rebbeinu Shalom considers it like if he made that person. It's like he's a manufacturer for that person. Shneimar, like the pasuk says by Avraham Avinu, was makar of people in learning. That's a nefesh asher asa b'charan. The nefashis, the souls that he made in Charan, because by bringing them tachas kanfi shchina learning Torah with them.
The problem is that these people never existed. They never lasted.
It did not last. That is correct.
So it's pasuk. They did not almost have effect.
So that doesn't mean that it can't have effect. It means it didn't have effect.
It's like a derogatory. They left them.
You don't know how long they lasted. Maybe they couldn't make it through the Shibud HaGolos. Maybe they didn't go to Golos with the. They said, "Hey, Yaakov Avinu is not our business." Just because Yaakov goes out from Mitzrayim, we don't have to go to Mitzrayim, which is very reasonable. It says only Shivim Nefesh. They do talk about it. I've heard. I don't remember what they say, but I have heard the question before. Rabbi Elazar says, it's as if he did the words of Torah. Shneimar, like the pasuk says, you're going to watch the words of this bris and you'll do that. So somebody who learns Torah by watching the divrei bris, it's as if like he did those mitzvahs that he learned about. A person who learns Torah Lishma is manufactured himself. He created himself with that. Shneimar, like the pasuk says, you should do them. You should do the mitzvah. You should watch the mitzvahs and do them. You're making yourself by learning Torah. Rabbi says, somebody who forces his friend, twists his arm. Come on, you can do it. Give another $20 to tzedakah, whatever it is. Learn another Mishnah. It said the Torah considers it as if he. What was that? Hama'asa. Kol ma'asa. Make someone do it. Yeah. It's clear. L'dvar mitzvah. Ma'al l'kasav kilu asai. As if he made his friend. I'm sorry. As if he did the mitzvah himself. It says the stick that you, Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem says, take with you to a parai. Take that stick. What do you mean? Moshe hit the rock, hit the we lost Valay Aaron. Aaron did it. Moshe convinced Aaron to do it. Told Aaron to do it. So someone who forces his friend, twists his arm to do a Dvar Mitzvah, the Torah considers it as if he made his friend, as if he did the mitzvah. What?
Moshe couldn't do it because Moshe was.
That's true, but still, he was the one who had Aaron do it. Since he had Aaron do it, it's as if he did it. Okay, Mishnah continues. Mishnah said, "Megal panam teresh like halacha and apikairos." What's apikairos? So the Gemara says a bunch of big machlokes what exactly an apikairos is. And where it says, Rav Chanina, Amri Tavayu, Rav and Rav Chanina both say, what's an apikairos? Somebody who shames, embarrasses Talmidei Chacham. Rabbi Yechon, Rabbi Yishuv, and Levi Amri, Zamavaza Chaveru b'fnei Talmidei Chacham. No, it's somebody who is embarrassing his friend in front of Talmidei Chacham. When you go and you act disrespectfully to someone else in front of someone else who you should be respectful in front of, you're also showing disrespect to that other person. If you go in front of your boss and you punch your coworker in front of your boss, it's much worse than if you punch your coworker just plain. I'm not saying you should punch your coworker. I'm just explaining that when you do it in front of a chashva person, it's a bigger avla. So against the chashva person, not against the person you punched. When you are acting disrespectfully to someone else in front of the chashva person, it shows you have no awe, you have no respect for the chashva person, right? Okay. So that's why Rabbi Yechon and Shmuel Levi say it's a mevazeh chaveiro in front of Talmid Chacham. Now the Gemara is going to ask, the court of Man Damro says that the shot of the Mishnah is that he's embarrassing Talmid Chacham himself. That's what Megal Panav Torah Hava Mavaz Chaver B'fnei Talmidei Chacham Mapikeres. When Megal Panav Torah is Mavaz Talmid Chacham, then Mavaz Chaver B'fnei Talmid Chacham is Mapikeres. Mapikeres is Mashra Tzavkeres. So he's showing by being Mavaz his friend in front of Talmid Chacham, he's not being Megal Panav Torah Shleik Halacha, but he's just showing he's Afkeres connected in front of Talmid Chacham. He doesn't really care what the Talmid Chacham thinks, and that's apikairos. Apikairos happen. So that's good according to them. According to my Damro, who says that embarrassing your friend in front of Talmid Chacham, that's what Megal Panam Torah is. Then apikairos man. What's the case on apikairos? Where's an apikairos that you're going to say that is different than this? Because if you say that Megal Panam, the Mishnah said both. The Mishnah said Megal Panam Torah and the Mishnah said apikairos, right? So they can't be the same thing. Otherwise, the Mishnah wouldn't have said both of them. So if you learn that Megal Panam Torah means that somebody is Mivaza Chaver B'fnei Talmid Chacham, then how does it help when you're Megal Panam Torah? How could that be? I'm sorry. Then you can't say that apikairos, which is afkeros, is going to be that's Megal Panam Torah. That's not. That doesn't match. So what are you going to learn? I'm sorry. Mavaz Talmid Chacham can't be an apikairos because that's much worse. So if you're going man, who is it going to be like? What's the case of apikairos? I think because the Mishnah says it in the order. Usually you say it in the order, either going up or going down. You say Megal Panam Torah Shleik Halacha, and then you say then you say apikairos. It has to be a little lesser darga than Megal Panam Torah. And Megal Panam Torah is talking about, like we said, that Mavaz Chaver B'fnei Talmidei Chachamim. Then what's going to be apikairos? Rav Yosef says Kanhani the Amri Maya Hanul Rabbanon. You know what apikairos is? The people who say, what do the Rabbanon? What do they help us? They do karu, they do tanu. They're learning for themselves. They're learning mishnayos for themselves, picking for themselves. They have nothing to do with us. We have no benefit from them. The feminists who say Blue Greenberg, who says where there's a rabbinic will, there's a halachic way. Right? Yeah, we don't need Rabbanim. Whatever. If they wanted, they could do whatever they want. So Amalei Abaya, Hai Megal Panam Torah Namihu. that's also considered. Somebody says Maya Hanul and Rabbanon. That's also considered Megal Pana B'Torah. The pasuk says, if not for my bris for day and night, that Klal Yisrael keeps the. I'm sorry, not Klal Yisrael. The Chachamim who learn keep the world running. Then Chukah Shemayim V'Aretz Leisamti. I wouldn't have the heaven and earth left. So you see that the Rabbanon are. You see from a pasuk that the Rabbanon are being Mahana of the world. So they who are saying and they're talking about the Torah. So you see that they who are saying Mahana Rabbanon, that's already included in the Gal Pana B'Torah. So. And over of Nachmar Yitzchak, we learn this from the following pasuk also. Shneim the pasuk says, Hashem says, if you're going to have 50, 40, 45, whatever tzaddikim b'chir, I'll let the whole city live because of them. So you see that the Rabbanon are mahanu, do help the people in it rather. Ella, so what is considered apikaris? Yasem kamei rabei v'nafal ishmaita b'duchta achriti. He's sitting in front of his rabbi, and it came to him a halacha that was relevant from a different place. And he said to his rabbi, this is what we said over there. We're learning about the Kama now, we're learning Sanhedrin now, and we say, oh, this is what we learned when we learned, Nagam, or Yavamas, or Bavatsia, or whatever it was. V'loi Amar, Hachi Amar Mar, and he didn't say this is what Rebbe said. He didn't speak in third person. So it's a little bit of a patch to me. Rosh Shiva called me today, and something to do with work, and I was a little fuzzy on who it was for a second when I picked up, and I kept on saying you, and once I started saying you, I continued saying you. I started to feel bad. I learned today's Gemara. I learned it yesterday. I didn't remember this. Okay.
Today, see, big guy in the street, call him rabbi.
Yeah. Everyone's rabbi. The Hasidim not. The Hasidim go for misters. Okay. Rava Amar, what is an apikaris? Like the people of the house of Binyamin Asya, Binyamin the doctor. The Amri, they say, what do the Rabbanan help us? Look, there's no chidush in what they said. They never came to us and said, oh, we have a chidush, a raven is kosher. They never came and told us a pigeon, a dove, is going to be usher. In other words, we don't need them for anything. We already have everything we need to know from the Torah. And because of this, Rava Kiavomaisi Trefsa Dve Binyamin Kamei, when they bring a shiloh, let's say it's one of the oxen or cows of Binyamin was shechted, and there's a shiloh. So when they bring it, he wouldn't be okay with just a messenger coming. He would have a chazi. He would call them in and have a chazi ba'atayim latera. When he saw a reason to be matrit, Amalu, we told them, was trying to teach them this yesod. Look, because Shamina Luchu Urva, I was matter for you a crow, a raven. In other words, he was saying, you see, you need the Rabbanon to be matter you. It's not furish in the Torah. It's not furish black and white in the pasuk. You need the Rabbanon. And if he saw there was something wrong with it and a reason to answer it, Amar Lahu, he said, Techazu, look, I came and I answered for you a yaina. In other words, again, you need to have the Torah Shalapan, the Rabbanim who are interpreting it and explaining it and making it relevant to us day to day to tell us to tell you, and what it is that you should do, right and wrong, and so on and so forth. And that's why you need the Rabbanan. Papa Amar, the Amar Hani Rabbanan, Papa says, you know what it's like when say Apikaris, someone is Afkarusa, doesn't have coverage for Tamid Chachamim. He says these Rabbanan. Rashi says that he doesn't say our Rabbeim from this place. He says, oh yeah, those rabbis. Yeah. The Gemara says, Rav Papa forgot once. For Amar, he said, like these rabbis, and he had so much charata. The Asiv B'tanisa. He sat in a tainus as kapara. Levi bar Shmuel v'Rav Huna bar Chia have become saknim at Pechas Sifrei Dvei Rav Yehuda. Levi bar Shmuel and Rav Huna bar Chia were fixing the covers of the Sfarim of Rav Yehuda. Maybe they were in yeshiva, maybe this was their chore.
Next generation, the Rav walks over to the Talmud sits and doesn't stand up before to everyone.
Yep, that's good.
They may not never heard of it. Rav comes over, Rav, you stand up automatically. Yep. Casually, it's like the whole thing.
Yep.
Part of is lost.
Yep, masking. So anyway, Rav Huna bar Chia and Levi bar Shmuel were fixing the covers of the Sfarim of Rav Yehuda. They were in his library, in his Eitzer, I guess, and they're fixing it. Kimatu Megillas Esther, when they came to Megillas Esther, Amri, they said, "Ha Megillas Esther lebay mit pachas." This Megillas Esther, what?
Kafran, in order not to touch the actual sefer.
I'm not following.
No, they didn't put like bounded. They put a cover on top of the.
Oh, you're saying in general, right? They didn't have covers like our Sefer Torah had covers, right? They put it in boxes, or there's a lot of different ways. But yes, not like ours. So Amalu, Amri, I'm sorry, they said, this Megillas Esther does not need a cover. In other words, they were saying it sort of like a shaila, but they were presuming the conclusion. They didn't say, does the Rabbein, our Rebbe, does this Megillas Esther need a matpachas? They said, no, this Megillas Esther doesn't need matpachas. So Amar Luhu, he told them, like, even like this, looks like Afkeris. That's how the person has to have for his Rebbe. Rav Nachman says, what's Afkeris? Akir Rabbi Vishmai. He calls his Rebbe by his Rebbe's name. Why is the Gechazi? Why did he get an Einish? The Shekar the Rabbi Bishmai. He called his Rabbi Elisha, the Navi Elisha. He called him with his name. Shnema Ve'emer Gechazi. Adonia Melech, the king Zaisi Yisha V'Zebana. This is the woman and this is her son Asher Hechia Elisha. That Elisha was Mechaya. I try, and I'm not always successful. That when my kids say, "Oh yeah, my friend went to Brzezinski's," they say, "No, he went to Rabbi Brzezinski's." Right.
I tell me, I never heard of it. No Rabbi, no.
Yasser Rav Yirmi Kamed Rav Zera. Rav Yirmi is sat in front of Rav Zera. The Yasser V'Kamra and Rav Zera. Usually it's the other way. We say somebody was sitting in front of somebody, then that person who was mentioned first is the one who was saying. The Rashash wants to learn Shan in the Sugya over here and says no. Yasser Rav Yirmi Kamed Rav Zera. Rav Yirmi was sitting in front of Rav Zera, and Rav Zera, the Yasser V'Kamra, Rav Zera was sitting and saying the following: the Rebbeinu Shalom is going to bring out a river from the inside of the Kadshe Kadashim. And on the river, on the banks of the river, will be all types of delicacies. Shnema, like the pasuk says, a pasuk in Yecheskel. On the river, on each side of the river, the river banks, all food trees will grow. The leaves will not wither. Right. The fruit won't finish. The Chadashim Yivakar is going to have new fresh fruit every month. Because its waters, the water of this river will come out from the base of Migdash. And its fruit will be for food. And its leaves will be for food. I was going to say chat and what the truth is. So you see that the Rebbeinu Shalom is going to make this nachal from base Kadshe Kadashim, and you're going to have all types of megadim. So it's an elderly person sitting there. Taisu says somewhere that every time it says Husaba, it means Aliyah Navi. He said, this is what Rabbi Yechanan said like this. So Amalei Rabbi Yirmi Rabbi Zera. So Rabbi Yirmi was still sitting there, and he said to Rabbi Zera, Kihai Gav Mechsi Afkerusa is like this. What this Husaba said to you, like the Afkerus, they didn't treat you respectfully. Amalei. So Rabbi Yechanan, Rabbi Zera said back, no. Hi, see you come Messiah lay. The Gersa in the parentheses over here. The Rashash says you should learn that way. He's bringing the raya, so I'm not worried. That's not afkirusa. But I'll tell you. You want to know what afkirusa is? I'll tell you the following story. Okay, and now we're gonna have to stop over here. That's Hashem. Next week we'll pick it up on bottom of Yehuda Moshe.